Okay, welcome to this little practice. I have got a chair for this one, and you can use any chair that you've got at home. It doesn't have to be some sort of fancy yoga chair, but we really just want to kind of use this to open through the shoulders and the chest, and just kind of nice at the end of the day if you've been sitting or rounding forward or driving in the car, to just reopen up and hopefully feel good. So we'll start just in a seat. So if you can kind of, if sitting on your heels or sitting cross-legged doesn't work, then sit in your chair. Yeah. Either way, take a moment to roll your shoulders. Just kind of check into the body that you have arrived with for this practice. Maybe a little bit of a twist side to side. And then reaching your arms up overhead. And this in itself can be relatively challenging, so just checking in how it feels now. Lifting up, and you might have your arms out a little bit wider, right, or bend your elbows, but have to lengthen. Can actually be quite energizing and awakening just to hold your arms up over your head if there's not anything else going on. Let's take one more breath here. So then bring your hands down and still in your seat, but take them behind you, maybe interlace your fingers. If interlacing them behind your back isn't comfortable, just reach your arms back. Otherwise, get that opening through the chest, lifting up. So, and then bring your hands down. Before we use the chair, come into your tabletop for a moment, going down through hands, knees under hips. And just taking a little bit of movement through your spine, so letting the belly and chest come down, an arch if it's there, like a cow pose, send the buttocks up, and then the reverse, push the floor away, round and dog. 3 like that, belly and chest come down. Movement doesn't have to be huge. Remember, we want to just start to kind of bring movement back into the spine and really keeping your attention, so you have awareness and your attention following what you're doing. To neutral spine. Okay, take a seat down. So you've got your chair. My chair has like a little cushion on it, but if you want to grab an extra kind of blanket or towel to have over the chair, and if you want something for under your knees, if your floor isn't very soft, then bring something underneath your knees. Otherwise, you're going to take your elbows right onto the edge of your chair. Walk your knees back. Okay, so I've got them on the edge so that my head can actually sort of fit through this gap here. Depending on the length of your arms, your forehead might be resting on the chair, or you might need to have something that's kind of a bit more open, but just see how it works in your body. And then pressing in, so I've got my palms together, fingertips up, so you can have them up towards the ceiling. You might prefer to have your thumbs coming back towards the nape of your neck. And you can always walk your knees in a little bit closer to the chair, so it would be like that to reduce some of the pressure in the back. Okay, so here, I can kind of let the belly and the chest come down, but ideally you want to tuck your buttocks a little more, draw in. So you can have a little bit of arch, but feel strong and toned. And then we just take a few breaths. The sensation can be quite a lot on the back of the upper arms here as we open into shoulder extension and the chest. Just take 5 or 6 rounds of breath. Obviously, if you're not one for counting your breath, don't worry about it. I'm going to let you know. And then one more breath here. Pressing down, walk your knees in. You've done that before. It can be a lot, right? Just kind of opening and reversing the action of the rounding forward. Sometimes life creates. It gives it a little bit of a release out. Shake your arms. Okay, then we're going to take a downward dog using the chair. So it's dependent on kind of there's space for your hands to go. You might have a much narrower chair or like a bench you could put your hands on, but we're lifting the floor higher to get more space for the spine. I'm going to demonstrate with my chair like this so you can see, but you might actually have yours pressing into a wall so there's a bit more pressure. Make sure your chair isn't on something that's going to slide, because you're going to slide onto the floor, okay? So come to stand, and then you're going to place your hands on the chair. Now, like I mentioned, mine's a little narrow, so I take my hands out to the side. I've got my index and thumb pressing in. whatever feels the most stable grip for your wrists. And then walking your feet back, sending your hips up towards the ceiling, making it just obviously look like your downward dog here. If it's really tight through the backs of the legs, it feels hard to get your spine to come towards straight, then bend your knees a little more. Okay? I'm taking a few breaths here to get used to it. I'm pressing into my chair. If I had it into the wall, I'd press it into the wall a little bit more. And then rising up onto your toes, start to come forward. See if you can come more towards a high plank. So if it feels a lot on your back, keep your buttocks lifted higher like this. Or start to shift forward and really draw in towards your midline. Push the chair away, shoulders over wrists. Try to lift my front thighs as well. And then we go up and back. Let's do two more like that just towards high plank. So kind of ripple your body forward. As much as you can, look for that articulation of the spine coming forward. And then drawing up and back. One more time, raising up. Bring forward, pressing out through your heels. Then we'll add on a little bit more of this spinal extension here with an upward facing dog, taking it to the extent that feels okay for you in your back. So as you come forward, strong through the legs, I like to even walk the feet in a little bit closer so that my shoulders are right over my wrists, and then start to sink your hips toward the chair. Chest and sternum coming through, lift, and then drawing all the way up and back. Heels coming down. Then rising on up, ripple forward. Sinking your hips just as far as feels comfortable for you. Look for that articulation in your spine. And then up and back. Okay, 3 more in your own time. Start to match your movement with a breath rhythm that makes sense. So there's always a breath practice hidden within each movement or within each pose. And then back to your downward facing dog. Walk your feet towards your chair. Let's take a moment. You might stay up on your hands. You might come down to your elbows. Maybe with straight legs, maybe with a bend in your knees. Let the head hang heavy for a moment. And then ground down through your feet. Curling yourself all the way up. Let's reach the arms up overhead. Noticing at this point, does it feel different having your arms overhead? And then lowering them back down. A little bit of a shake out. Okay, I should have mentioned that you might want to have a wall close by for this one. So I'm just going to take my chin out into the wall this way. Okay, so and here I'm standing obviously next to the wall, so I've got my left hip next to the wall. I'm going to take my left foot up onto the chair, my right foot's on the ground. Just make sure you're not too far away from the wall in case you have to lean into it. And then you're facing forward, so your hips are facing forward, arms extend up. Now you're going to take your right hand to the same arm as the standing leg, cross it over, and then press into the outside of your left knee. So I want to press that leg into hand into knee, create a little bit of resistance to engage through inner thighs. Then your left hand up on the wall, slide it down so it's just slightly below your shoulders. So shoulders can draw away from your ears. Press in, lift up, rotate to the wall. Yeah, find that beautiful twist. 3 or 4 breaths here. You might turn your gaze over your left shoulder if there's space to do so. Not trying to force anything. Come back through center. Maybe reaching both arms. Lift and lengthen. If you'd like a little bit of an added challenge here, see if you can rise up onto your toes on both feet. Squeeze those inner thighs. Activate the legs. And heels down, release your arms. And we go to the other side. So you walk around to the other side of your chair. Now I've got my left leg, left hip facing the wall next to the wall. So that's my foot that's coming up onto the chair, the one closest to the wall. Left leg is down, hips squaring forward. I reach my arms up. My left hand, so same arm as the leg that's grounded, crosses over. So it's going over the midline, and I want to find that connection where I press hand into leg, leg into hand, activate by lifting and drawing up. Slide the right arm down, the fingertips to the wall, pressing in, and lengthen as you turn your chest. Maybe notice how your breath changes when you're in this kind of twisted shape. 3 or 4 breaths right here. You could turn your gaze back. One more breath as you are. And come around, reach your arms up. Always use the wall for balance. Or keep those arms extending up, and then maybe to add on that balance challenge, which again, fingertips can be on the wall. Lifting your heels, lengthening tall. And bringing it down, release your arms. Mindful stepping up with the chair. Give your legs a little bit of a shake out. And then just come to take a seat on the chair. You can sit right on the edge of the chair if it's more comfortable. We're going to let's take left ankle up onto your right knee. If that works, it's kind of challenging lifting up. If you're doing this, just make sure if it puts too much pressure into your knee, you can kind of try by extending the left leg so it's not up so high. Otherwise, if it just doesn't work, just leave this one out. And then you can kind of support the knee and the foot, lift and lengthen. If you've got a lot of sensation here, stay as you are, or we fold forward. Yep. You can also kind of tuck that right foot in underneath, come up onto the toes, and intensify it like that. And lifting up, changing over, left foot comes down, right ankle comes up onto your knee. Pressing in, checking over the side, it might be different. Okay, make those adjustments. Lift and lengthen out of your back, so you want that tilting forward if it's there. So the sensation's kind of around the outer hips that you're looking for. Yeah, if you're adding on, you might slide that left foot under, come up onto your toes and fold. Take one more breath here. Lifting all the way back up. Pressing your feet down. Walk them out a little wider. Bring your elbows maybe out onto your knees here. This is a half forward fold. If there's space you want to, bring your hands down and kind of fold between the legs. And then mindfully rise yourself back up, toe heel those feet back in, let your hands rest. You might close down the eyes or just soften your gaze as we finish here. But taking 3 really intentional breaths. So with a slight extended exhale. So you can just do that, kind of extending the exhale in your own time, or we'll use the straw breath. So you breathe out like you've got a straw in between your lips. So you breathe in. Slow exhale out the mouth. So 2 more like this. One more. Last breath drawing in, maybe sighing out the mouth. Well done, that was our short little opening chair practice. I hope you enjoyed. Beautiful rest of your day.